Well, welcome back to Lucore Automotive. This is going to be a pretty interesting episode. We're actually going to introduce you to a brand new build we're working on for our customer Katrina Bell, also known on Instagram as 73 Charger Chick. She picked this up not that long ago. It's a pretty cool little vehicle. I think you're going to really like this build. We'll let her do most of the talking on this one as far as what the process is, but I think I hear it now. Well, Miss Katrina Bell, that was one hell of an entrance.
Thanks, sir.
So, this is 73 Charger Chick, and this is her 1973 Dodge Charger. As you can see, it's got a lot of attitude, which is interesting for a lady to be driving, and awesome for a lady to be driving. So, first off, what in the world made you buy this?
Just going to car shows and seeing all the different cars. I just wanted to be part of the Sexy Car Club.
I think you did that. I can attest, when this lady drives this car into a car show, doesn't matter what you drove as the guy, nobody's going to care to talk to you. I'm just going to say that completely honest.
From experience.
I've done that. I drove in front of her and nobody cared what I drove. So now that you have this thing, you bought this last summer of 2018.
I think like August.
What are your plans for now that you have this thing?
Well, we have been planning on rebuilding the engine, souping it up a little bit, do some bracket racing, some drag racing. I recently joined a ladies racing group club, so we've got some events planned this summer, and it's the first time I've ever done anything like this. So I'm a little scared, a little nervous, but it's exciting all the same. It's just a new hobby.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's weird because in our world of car people, we rarely ever see a woman get really involved. It's unfortunate that we just don't open our arms and help other people get involved in this, but you jumped in both feet forward, let's rock and roll. I mean, this is not I bought a Miata or I bought a Civic. You went straight muscle car. So
go big or go home.
This is big, absolutely. So under the hood, this is a 1973 Charger, big block 400. It's going to remain a big block, but what exactly that big block does, it may be a little bit of a mystery, at least for right now. First thing we need to do is get a motor ready to put in this guy. So, let's get working. All right, so this big, beautiful mess is what's going to go in there. Well, sort of. This is a donor motor. We picked this up a couple of weeks ago off of Craigslist, and according to the tag, it is a 1977 400 out of a half-ton truck. 96,000 original miles, which means it should not be messed with on the inside. And these were notoriously terrible motors anyway in 1977. Still has a 2-barrel carburetor on the top, still has all the bells and whistles, none of which we're going to use. Essentially all I want out of this thing is that 400 B series block that's inside there. We're going to do our own little trickery as far as getting this thing up and running and give it a little bit more grunt. So all of the rest of this stuff, I'm not going to need it. So we're going to pull out all that stuff off. We'll do that in time lapse because that's not very fun to watch. And we'll go from there. Alright, so it is time to tear this grody ass Mopar motor down. Picked this up off Craigslist from a gentleman up in the Akron area for 180 bucks. Essentially the only thing we need out of this is just the block. So most of the rest of this is going to go in the recycling bin with all of this heavy iron stuff. Came with a 4-wheel drive transmission. Again, we don't need that for the Charger. Heads, we've already got a set of those already built. So we're going to start tearing down all this stuff off of here, remove all the ancillary stuff that we don't need whatsoever, and take this thing down to a naked block. So this is what's going to be powering this Miss Katrina Bell's 1973 Charger once we get it rebuilt. So let's get rocking and rolling. We'll put this in time lapse. You guys can see how this goes. Alright, in case you're wondering what we're doing here, this motor was pulled out of a Dodge truck and everything was left on it. The transmission's still on it, the exhaust manifolds are still on it, all the accessories are still on it, and the crossover pipe that goes underneath the transmission is still on it. So, in order to remove the transmission, we have to take the exhaust off. Well, the exhaust manifolds are stuck to the exhaust pipes, which will be kind of like a downpipe. So where it comes into the collector, it's frozen onto it. So we need to take the exhaust manifolds off to pull the exhaust off so we can get room to pull the transmission off. So that's where we are. Alright, so as you can see, we just pulled the valve covers off this thing, and the stuff that's in this is disgusting. Push rods are really, really nasty. This motor's been sitting for a while, so fortunately we don't need this entire rocker assembly. We're not going to even use these heads. Literally all we're going for is just this block, but normally speaking this is something that would make me a little bit start getting scared, but we don't really care because we're not going to be using these heads. Again, you never really know what you're going to find until you take these things apart. So she's on an engine stand off the engine hoist. It's a little bit sketchy because it's on a Harbor Freight engine stand that's not exactly happy with this. So we're going to get this thing torn down as fast as we can, get the heavy stuff off of it, and pull the heads, and we'll start seeing what the bottom end looks like. All the intake manifold bolts are out. Valley pan bolts are out. Go ahead and pry on that guy and pull that out. We'll see what we got in the valley pan.
It's way heavier than I thought it was.
Yeah, well, it's all cast iron at this point in time. Well, that's really pretty. So there's what we got in the valley pan. Gross. To go with all the other grossness, but again, it's a garage floor $180 big block Mopar, so it is what it is. Breakdown continues. There we go. Perfect. Oh Lord. Well,
I say it doesn't look bad to me.
it smells terrible, as it probably should. Let's see what we got in here. Well, nothing catastrophic on first inspection. All right, so as you can see, we've made some pretty serious progress on Katrina Bell's big block Mopar 473 Charger. She's actually helped me through this entire process, as you've seen through the time lapse and some photos and videos through this. She's rocking right along. So the whole Mama has a Mopar thing, there's no reason. She's got her nails did, and she's still tearing apart motors. So far so good. We haven't found anything that's terrible. Everything's gross and dirty. I don't believe this block has ever been torn apart. It's been put together in 1977, and that's kind of what we've seen here. Ring ridge, obviously. Heads are a little bit worn out, but we're not really worried about it. We're not even going to run those heads. Cam's a little bit worn out, but again, we're not going to worry about it because we're not using anything other than this nice B-Series Mopar 400. taken off. The stuff that came out of this is not pretty. We had about probably a half a liter of water that came out first, and then followed by tar, sludge, and whatever else they could fit in the bottom of this thing. It's gross.
Yummy.
We have a mixture of tar and water coming out of the oil pan. Not what I wanted to see. We again don't know how long this thing has been sitting here. As you can see, the oil pickup still has some of this beautiful stuff on it. So some of this is because it's oil mixed with water. The rest of it was who knows what, but you know, it's a Craigslist Ranwin pulled motor. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this out. Motor mounts are actually attached to the oil filter housing on a big block Mopar. So we're gonna pull that out, pull all this piece out, and we can get the rotating assembly out of this guy, and we'll see where we are as far as block health goes.
Don't be that girl. Mama works on Mama's Mopar. Just anytime you have an opportunity to learn something new, you just gotta get in there elbows deep and just do it and learn it, and that's it. Just do it, learn it, know what you're talking about. So. Oh my God.
Yeah, give it a curl.
Right.
Give it a curl.
Yeah, this is gonna go down fast. No curling. Okay, there we go.
There you go. All right, Mama's Mopar. Give me one of those. All right, Mama's Mopar is all turned down. Still got the camshaft in there, but we don't really care. We'll take that apart at Performance Research when we run over there. So we have ourselves a bare, really disgusting 1977 Mopar 400 block. This young lady is on one more step closer to having her big angry motor in her Mopar.
Yep. See you on the track.
We are completely torn down. Crankshaft came out, no problem whatsoever. Main caps look good. Bearings actually even looked pretty good. Rods we may end up reusing. Depends on what direction we take this build, which we won't find that out until we see how healthy this block is. So it is a 400 block as we expected. Everything seems to be okay, other than an intense amount of schmutz in here. Huge ring ridge in all the cylinders. The original pistons were in the holes, so that's good news, which means this is probably a virginal block. Heads, we'll see what we end up doing with those guys. We have a set of 440 heads that are already over at PRI that have already been worked. Otherwise, we really only ran into one or two bolts that really fought us whatsoever. I would like to say thank you to this stuff, Penna-Free. It's from Parts Master. This stuff is fantastic. This is a 1977 block. This entire motor has never been torn down. We did not run into one bolt we could not get out with this stuff. Penna-Free from Parts Master. Good stuff. We did have to use a little bit of heat to get some tubes out of the water pump, but otherwise everything else was perfect. So we're going to go ahead and get this guy transported over to Performance Research. As you can see, the last piece, there's always got to be one piece that fights you, is the camshaft won't come out of this block, but not a big deal. We'll beat that thing out of there. So this is going to go over to Performance Research, and we're going to get this thing tanked, cleaned up, and we're going to see where we are as far as the cylinder walls go. So that's going to be the next part of this video. You're going to catch that in part 2, and we'll see you then. Remember to like, subscribe, leave us a comment.